Hello everyone, Kiora. Greetings and welcome to Immigration Advice New Zealand Limited's web series on the New Zealand Resident Pathway. In today's series, which is the fourth edition of this multi-part series, we'll be talking about options for engineers. We intend for this series to be both educational and helpful. If you have any questions, please submit them in the Q&A box below, and we will endeavor to answer and address most of them towards the end of the session. For some context here, we are a New Zealand-based organization. Our team of 30 spans the globe from New Zealand to India to Sri Lanka to Bangladesh to Nepal to the Philippines to the Saudi Arabia and to Latin America. We are also an Education New Zealand recognized agent. Joining us for the fourth installment of our Pathways to Residence webinar is our senior licensed immigration advisor, who is also a migrant and possesses an unusually well-matched set of skills that make her a good fit for the role of a licensed immigration advisor. A natural fit for this position due to her nurturing and caring personality. She was a school counselor from 1996 to 2006. Since the beginning of her career as a New Zealand licensed immigration advisor in earnest, she has counted herself among the fortunate few who can easily put themselves in the client's shoes, empathize with their concerns, and offer the best immigration advice based on her extensive experience and training. She's currently the member of Board of New Zealand Association of Migration and Investment and was a member of Immigration Advisors Authority Referral Group for 2016. It is indeed my pleasure to introduce to you all Immigration Advisors New Zealand Limited Director and Senior Licensed Immigration Advisor, Vandana Rai. Vandana, if you could kindly greet our audience and take the platform.
Thank you so much, Shiraz, and welcome everyone. I'm glad that you were able to join this series of webinar today, and we are really happy that we would be targeting, or we would be giving more information to the engineers and their pathways here in New Zealand for the residence visa. So New Zealand definitely requires engineers, a lot of engineers to do a lot of work that is required here. Engineers are a skill set that is in shortage, and we are really happy that all of you are interested in moving to New Zealand and are attending this webinar today. So just to begin, what would be the scope of today's webinar? So we would talk about the pathways to residence in New Zealand, specifically for engineers. So what is the pathway available? You would be given information on understanding the requirement and how to seize the opportunity that may exist. To begin with, what are the options? So there are currently two residence pathway available for engineers. One is the skilled migrant category residence visa, and the other is the green list residence pathway, and engineers fall in tier 1, which is straight to residence. To give you a brief on what exactly is the skilled migrant category. So this is in fact only residence path which the skilled migrants previously had, and it is one of the pathway which is going to close very soon. So this is going to be replaced by a different category later this year, and that is the reason it becomes all the more important for you to understand this path. And if this is what you are meeting the requirement for, this may be the last chance for you to apply under the skilled migrant category before it closes. So this is a point-based system. So you are given points for various factors, and 180 points is the current threshold on which the expression of interest would be picked up. So it's a kind of two-way process. So everybody would, who thinks they are eligible would submit an expression of interest. Immigration would check the claims that you've made in the expression of interest, and if those claims are correct, and if you are granted 180 points, your expression of interest would be picked up, and you would be invited to apply. So, and then you can apply for your residence visa. This is the process that is currently open under the skilled migrant category. And to give you a brief on how do you meet these 180 points, what are you given these points for? So you get points for your age, you get points for your skilled employment qualification, your work experience, for your partner's skilled employment or partner's qualification. So these are all things that you can get the points for. So just to give you a brief on on all these points and how you know what are you eligible or what could you be eligible to claim for. For your age, if you are under 55 years, so it's very important that you consider the age, because 55 years is the last age on which you can apply for a residence visa. Post this age, you would not be eligible. So again, 55, you have to be 55 years or below, and you can get a maximum of 30 points depending upon which age bracket that you fall into. Then you get points for your skilled employment. You can claim points around 50 points for your skilled employment. You can also claim points for, if your skilled employment is outside Auckland, you get 30 bonus points for that as well. Then you can claim points for your qualifications. It's very important that you understand when can you claim points for qualifications, so you don't end up claiming your points incorrectly. So your qualification must be recognized to claim points. If it's not recognized on its face value, then you have to get an NZQA, New Zealand Qualification Authority assessment done, and you can only claim points if it is recognized. You can claim up to 70 points for masters or above qualifications, and you can also claim bonus points if you studied in New Zealand. And you, apart from that, you can also claim points for partners, only if partners have the same English language proficiency as yours, which is overall a language proficiency of 6.5 IELTS or more. And if your partner is working in a skilled employment, you could claim points for the partner's skilled employment. If the partner has a recognized qualification above level 7 or above, again you can claim points for partner's qualification as well. And then you can also claim points for work experience. This is an area where a lot of people fault. It's important to note that you can only claim points for skilled work experience and not for any work experience. Skilled work experience is when immigration would check and confirm whether you were suitably qualified by way of your qualification or by way of your experience before you started working in that role that you're claiming points on your work experience for. So, and apart from that, another thing which immigration would check is whether you worked in a market which is a comparable labor market to New Zealand. This is especially required if you do not have a job offer in New Zealand. So if you're not claiming for points for your job offer in New Zealand, then your work experience has to be in a market which is comparable to New Zealand. Or if you're working in a market which is not comparable, the head office of the company, you were working for a multinational company and the head office was in one of the countries which is a comparable labor market. So a lot of intricate things there which clients can miss on. So just you have to be really careful on what you are claiming points for. And you can also claim bonus points for your 1 year or more work experience in New Zealand, and if your role is in absolute skill shortage. And now we come to the second path which the engineers have, which is the green list pathways. Green list is engineers are in the tier 1 category. That means if they are considered to be meeting all the requirement, they can apply straight residence. So they don't have to wait for 2 years. They can immediately apply for residence, and it's called straight to residence visa. I've just listed here all the engineering occupations which are in the green list. So just to explain you what exactly is the green list. So green list is a list of occupations which New Zealand thinks that they need skills of workers to be working in. So this is list which will keep changing. They will keep adding occupations. They will keep removing occupations. So this is the engineering roles that are currently on the green list. And for every occupation, there would be some specific requirements. There would be some specific requirements on your qualification, on other factors, and you need to meet those requirements. It is for a civil engineer, which is an ANSCO 233211. So the first requirement would be the role that you would be doing, or the job offer that you have, or the current job that you have should align with this ANSCO. So every ANSCO is a set of Australia, New Zealand skills qualifications that that immigration refer to when they are considering whether a job is skilled or not. So ANSCO is referred to in the skilled migrant category also, and in the green list as well. So in the green list, they would like to see whether your role is aligning with this ANSCO. That means, are you doing everything which a civil engineer is required to do? So that most probably is an easy thing to tick off, because if somebody is hiring you as a civil engineer, most likely you would be performing the role of a civil engineer. So that's the easier bit of the thing. And the other thing that you have to keep in mind is that you will only be eligible if you are working for an accredited employer and you meet all the other requirements. So what are the other requirements? You should have one of the requirements which they have listed for qualification, and I'll just read out what they are. So out of these, you should have at least one. So just give me a sec. Okay, so either your qualification should be a Washington Accord accredited initial engineering degree, so there's a list of it, you will have to check, or your Bachelor of Engineering with honors should be a level 8 qualification. So how does it happen? So if you have an overseas qualification, engineering, you get it assessed by NCET QA, it should come at a level 8. Usually a bachelor's with 360 credits gets assessed at level 7. So what it really requires here is a level 8, which is a level 8, which is an honors qualification. So if you have done your engineering and your duration was 4 years or more, then it is likely that it would be assessed at level 8. If these two requirements are not met, the third requirement probably that you can check on is that your qualification is at level 7 or higher. Then it should have a letter from Engineering New Zealand certifying that the degree and any further learnings that you have done meet the benchmark requirements towards the Chartered Professional Engineering professional status in New Zealand. So you should have a level 7 assessment done of your overseas qualification along with this letter from Engineering New Zealand, then you meet one of these requirements. And if none of these are met, then you should have a New Zealand registration as a Chartered Professional Engineer by Engineering New Zealand. So if you have a job as a civil engineer, if you're working for an accredited employer, and if your qualifications are meeting one of these requirements, then you seem to be eligible, you could be eligible to apply for the straight to residence under the green list. And if I give you another example, something like a civil engineering technician, again, this role is also eligible for straight to residence. All the other factors remain the same. You need to work for an accredited employer, your job should meet the ANSCO requirement, your role should align with a civil engineer role in a civil engineering technician role in the ANSCO. And there are a few changes in the qualification requirements here, like you will see. You should either have a Bachelor of Engineering Technology, Civil Engineering, which is assessed at level 7, or you can also have a diploma at level 6 or a higher qualification with minimum 240 credits, which should have the knowledge of engineering, which is specializing in civil, or a Washington Accord accredited undergraduate engineering degree specializing in civil engineering. Or a qualification at level 7 with Engineering New Zealand letter, like the previous requirement was, or a New Zealand registration in the field of civil engineering as a Chartered Professional Engineer or as an engineering technologist by Engineering New Zealand. So if you meet one of these, if your qualifications meet one of these requirements, again, you could be considered eligible to apply for straight to residence visa. And then we come across people who have a qualification which is not meeting one of these requirements on the green list, or they have a qualification which is meeting one of these requirements, but they don't have a job offer. So unless you have a job offer, you will not be eligible to apply for residence, because highly unlikely you will reach 180 points. There are some of you with a lot of work experience in comparable labor market who can still meet. So a small group of people can meet the skilled migrant category 180 points without a job offer. But under the green list, there is no pathway if you don't have a job offer. So then what happens? What is the alternate path? The alternate path could be to think of coming and studying here in New Zealand. So probably think of doing a course which meets the green list requirement, or if you are already meeting the green list requirement and you don't have a job offer, probably you could think of upskilling in any other field. Or if you have a partner, maybe your partner could consider studying, so you have a open work visa and better chances of getting a job here in New Zealand. So if you are planning to study, even if you do a program, there are programs which like a master's program. When you complete that program, you get 3 years of post-study work visa. So on that 3 years, you get open work rights. That is, you could work for any employer, for any occupation in New Zealand, and it becomes a bit easier for you to then get a job and for employers to hire you, because they don't have to support you immediately. They can test your skills before supporting you, and if you have an open work visa, it's easier for employers to test your skills and hire you as well. So you take a course which is the master's course, you get 3 years of post-study work visa, or master's, or let's say even a level 7, a program which is in the green list. Again, you could then get a post-study work visa. So if you have to select a program, it would be depending upon what skills that you would like to add on to your existing skill set. And once you complete your post-study work visa, there are also options of an accredited employer work visa. But considering that if you are an engineer, your role is, just give me a sec. Considering that you are an engineer and your role is in the green list, you would not have to wait for 3 years and come on an accredited employer work visa. You would meet the residence requirement as soon as you get a job offer which is listed in the green list, and then you could immediately apply for a residence visa. A lot of clients ask us, then if they take this path, then what happens to their family, what happens to their kids? So just wanted to brief you on that. So if somebody is planning to come here on a student visa, let's say a master's program, and if you're doing a master's program, your partner gets a partnership based work visa, same duration as yours. And if you have family, you have kids over the age of 5, your kids can study in New Zealand on a domestic fees paying status, that is free of cost, for the same duration as you are studying your master's program. Once you complete your master's program, you get 3-year post-study work visa. Your partner again gets 3-year partnership-based visa. Your kids continue and they are eligible to apply for 3 more years of dependent child student visa if they are over 5 years, or if they are less than 5 years, a dependent child visitor visa as well for the same duration as you get, say 3 years. And when you get a job offer which is either in the green list, or if it is meeting the skilled migrant category requirement and you apply for residence, you can then add on your partner and your children in the same residence application, and the entire family then gets the residence together. So that's the last path if you are not meeting the initial 2 pathways. We now move to the question answers. I'll just take few of the questions, commonly asked questions that we have got, and I'll then hand over to Shiraz to ask all the live questions that you all are asking. The first question, or a very common question that we get is, I meet the qualification requirement in the green list. However, I do not have a job offer in New Zealand. How can I apply for residence? So if you're meeting the green list requirement and you do not have a job offer, then definitely you cannot apply through the green list, because through the green list, you need to have a job offer. Alternate paths for you could be, check if you have 180 points even without a job offer under the skilled migrant category. If you get 180 points without a job offer under the skilled migrant category, probably that could be one of the path for you to take. If you're not getting 180 points, then the only path for you probably is either to find a job if you can get, or if you've been trying for long and if you cannot find a job, see if you would be interested in coming to New Zealand to study a program post which you could get open work visa, and then easier for you to then find a job. So yeah, the second question is, I'm working as a civil engineer in New Zealand. However, my qualifications do not meet the green list requirement. How can I apply for residence? So if you're working as a civil engineer and your qualifications are not meeting the green list requirement, I would say immediately contact us, because the skilled migrant category could be the path for you. And before this category closes, you must check your eligibility and apply if you're eligible, because in this SMC, if you're applying for a civil engineer, they do not require all these specific requirements as the green list. They would need to see if you are skilled to work as an engineer. For you to be skilled, your engineering degree, if it is assessed at level 7, that makes you skilled. So that's the only thing that is required. So a little easy requirement on the qualification bit. So if you are in this situation, I would say immediately click on the link that we are providing you, so that we can assist you in calculating your points to see if you are eligible under the skilled migrant category, and then would definitely assist you. The third question here is, I am an overseas qualified engineer. However, my qualification does not meet the requirement as per the green list, and I do not have a job offer in New Zealand. What are my options? So again, if you are overseas qualified, you're not getting a job offer, you're not reaching 180 points, probably consider studying if New Zealand is a place that you would like to relocate to, or maybe consider if your partner would be interested in studying, because if your partner studies and you get an open work visa, then with your engineering skill sets, with your qualified engineering status, it may be a bit easier for you to find a job if you are in New Zealand on an open work visa, and that would, while your partner is then studying, you can immediately apply for residence as soon as you get a job offer. So that could be an option for you to explore as well. I'm planning to study Bachelor of Engineering Technology. What are the options for my family? So yeah, so like I said, if you're planning to do a program which is at level 7 or higher, so Bachelor of Engineering Technology would be level 7, a course which will be in the green list, your partner would be eligible for applying for a partnership based work visa. Dependent kids over the age of 5 can apply for domestic fee paying student visa or a dependent child student visa, study for free. Kids less than 5 years can get a dependent child visitor visa. They can get 20 hours a week free early childhood education, and then when you apply for residence, ultimately the family could also be included in your application. So yeah, these are the options. So, and I would also like to introduce you to our the panel of our licensed immigration advisors who are here as well. So we have Tanwa Bose, who's a licensed immigration advisor. We also have Himanshu Rai, who's a licensed immigration advisor. And all the live questions that you have, Shiraz would then ask, and we all would be happy to answer. So welcome, Tanwa, for taking out time to answer these questions that our attendees have.
Hello, Fiora, everybody. Thanks, Vandana.
Shiraz, over to you, please.
Sure. So the question is, hello ma'am, I'm a mechanical engineer. I recently got my AEW visa. How to get the residency visa after this?
That's really good. If you are on an accredited employer work visa, working as a mechanical engineer, I would suggest please click on the link that the team is giving you in the chat window. So we need to first see whether your qualifications meet the green list requirement. If they do, we could immediately assist you in submitting the residence visa, which is a straight to residence visa. A lot of clients keep thinking that if they have a work visa, they need to keep working for few months, few years before they can move on to residence. No. so they can immediately. We've had clients where we've applied for their residence and accredited employer work visa straight away. There have been clients who were meeting the residence criteria, and instead of accredited employer work visa, we suggested they apply straight to residence and came directly on residence visa here to New Zealand. So I would suggest immediately contact us if your qualifications are meeting the green list requirement. Straight to residence is your path. If not, skilled migrant category could be your alternate path. So we'll be happy to assist you.
Moving on to the next one. I would like to pursue, I'm assuming it would be pursue, I would like to pursue Masters of Electrical. So which university or college is best for me?
So I would say which university or college is best for you would depend on what your requirements are. So again, do click on the link. We would need to see a lot of factors, whether you would like, which city would you like to study in, whether you will study in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, and based on your preference, we can then give you options. So all these qualifications would be recognized, but which is best for you would really depend upon your requirements, and we would need to understand your requirements before we can tell you which one would be the best. So do click on the link. We can then have a discussion to see what meets your requirement.
This next question we have is, can we apply with a diploma in engineering sciences qualification without a work experience after being qualified?
So I think you're asking, let me give your answer for both scenarios. So if your diploma is meeting the green list requirement, so I've not done the assessment, assuming it does, there is no qualification, there is no experience requirement in the green list like you would have seen. So if you're meeting the requirement, straight residence you could apply. If you are applying under the skilled migrant category and you are meeting 180 points without the work experience requirement, then again you don't need. So not a mandatory requirement in green list, and not even in SMC if you don't need those experience points for meeting the 180 points threshold. So again, do give us more details so we can exactly tell you where you stand.
The next question is, quality assurance technician in roading, site engineer and junior civil engineer technician job titles, can they go with straight to residence visa? I'm assuming it's probably asking if these qualifications are eligible for it.
So no, basically I do understand. Basically a lot of clients have this confusion on the job titles. So somebody could be called a site engineer, somebody could be called a junior civil engineer. So it doesn't really matter. What immigration will have to see is whether your job duties align with a civil engineer duties on the ANSCO. So don't worry on what you are called. Immigration is not going to see what you are called. They would have to see what are the duties that you perform. So you could be called anything. You could be called a civil engineer, but if you're not doing the civil engineer duties, then you are not aligning with that ANSCO. So again, do send us your job description and your qualifications and fill the link. We could then check your job duties and convey or confirm if you're meeting the requirement. Yeah.
As a list of green list civil engineering technician is eligible, completed 3 years of diploma in civil engineering from Tribhuvan University. Is this qualification eligible for a residence visa?
So first thing, we cannot convey whether something is eligible on its face value. So you will need to get it assessed by NZQA, and the New Zealand Qualification Authority, through the International Qualification Assessment. We call it an IQA. Now, depending upon what the IQA outcome is, we can then advise you. So if it is the outcome conveys it is eligible, then it is considered eligible. But then only the qualification doesn't matter. If you're meeting the qualification, but you then also need a job offer, you need to be working to be able to apply under the green list. So yeah, send us more details and we can then assist you.
For residency, is a national security check mandatory? What is the longest application duration for NSC? And is NSC for residency straight from AEWV, or it is only for SMC?
this seems to be a person who may have applied already, or has friends who have applied then are waiting. So yeah, so and the national security check is mandatory for certain nationalities, so not for everyone. So if for those nationalities it is awaited, it is taking a longer time. There is no longest duration or the shortest duration as stated by INC, because this is done through a third party checks, and then the time it can take would depend upon the workload they have, the amount of verifications needed. So two applications can have different time frames. So NSC is required for those nationalities when applying for residence. That residence could be SMC, that residence could be green list, doesn't really matter. For both would be required. Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. I am from Nepal and I completed my BTech in civil engineering from India in 2016. Furthermore, I have over 4 years of experience in civil engineering field. Can you please enlighten me with the options that I have?
Okay, so like I have conveyed previously, we need to get your BTech assessed by NZQA, and you need to also start looking for a job, because if you have experience in India, then if you're not been working in a multinational company, then you may not be able to claim points for that work experience, and then you will not be able to reach 180 points. That means you need a job offer. So if you've been trying and you're not getting a job offer, then probably studying could be a good option for you. But if you think that you can get a job offer and your assessment comes at something which is aligning with the green list, then definitely either the green list path or the SMC path, both would meet the requirement.
Also, if I may add over here, even with the skilled migrant category, even if you do get the 180 points, you will still need a job offer to get the residence. So even with 180 points, if you don't have a job offer or you have done a master's degree in New Zealand for at least 2 years, you'll only still be eligible for a job search visa. It is not residence, and only upon getting the job offer from New Zealand, from a New Zealand employer in New Zealand, would you qualify for getting that residence. So job offer is actually an important requirement for the residence pathway, be it the skilled migrant pathway or the green list option.
Okay. Can I move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next question is IELTS or PTE compulsory? And if yes, what is the score required?
IELTS or a PT. So in English language, you have to meet a minimum standard of English for the skilled migrant and the green list pathway. There are different, so for instance, the IELTS requirement is 6.5. You have to have an equivalent in a PTE. So there is a whole raft of tests that you can take, and the minimum scores that you need to get under each of these, for each of these tests. So all of this information there, but English language is a minimum requirement that you will need to meet under any of the skilled residence pathways. Over to you, Shiraz.
Okay. The next question is, what are the differences or advantages of residency as compared to accredited employer work visa scheme in terms of schools, visa and medical scheme and so on?
Okay, I'll take that. So I see the accredited employer work visa is a temporary visa here in New Zealand. So if you're thinking of coming and working in New Zealand and then probably going back, this is what you take. But if you are wanting to relocate, make New Zealand your a permanent place here where you would like to live, then if you are eligible, you must apply for a residence visa. So both are different categories. So residence SMC and the green list is the residence visa path, and accredited employer work visa is a temporary visa. In terms of school visa and medical scheme, so I'm probably not understanding on this. I would suggest send probably your query, and we'll be happy to give further clarification there.
So the next question says, I'm a civil engineer with more than 9 years of experience in the related field. My spouse has passed her bachelor's of nursing with more than 6 years of experience in the related field. What are the chances of residence visa to New Zealand?
Okay, so whoever can get a job. So job really depends on who has the skill set to get a job. For you, you do not require registration. But if your spouse has a bachelor of nursing, then your partner may have to meet the nursing council registration requirement and become a registered nurse here in New Zealand to then work as a registered nurse. So if she meets the registration requirement, definitely a lot easier, and really depends on who gets the job the fastest. So do get in touch with us. We could then probably give the options to both of you and see who could reach the residence or the job the fastest. But seems to be both could be eligible.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. I graduated civil engineer last year in 2021, and I had experience as a safety officer for 3 to 4 years. What can you recommend on my situation to go into New Zealand? Thanks.
So I would say be very realistic. See if you, with your 3-4 years of work experience, are you getting a job offer? So if you're getting a job offer, definitely there are options to apply for residence straight away. If you try and if you do not get a job offer, then see if there's any qualification that you would like to do. So you come on a student visa and get work rights, and then getting a job offer becomes easier. It's really important for you to get a job, a skilled job, for you to then move to the residence. And if you keep waiting overseas, keep trying to get a job, and you waste few years, then it may not be worth it. So if you try in few months and you are not getting a job, then probably better for you to try an alternate path then.
Moving on to the next question. What are the specifications of plant engineer and the link to check the eligibility and the score?
Okay, so if you click on the green list, like I've conveyed the details of the civil engineer, there are similar details for all specializations of engineering. You could check on the green list. If you're unable to click on the link and submit us your information. We can then run past those requirements to you.
Okay. Moving on to the next question. I have 15 years of experience in construction as engineer and manager. Am I eligible for the program? I don't have a job offer as of now.
So like we've conveyed previously, you definitely would need a job offer to apply under the green list. Even for the SMC, like Tanua explained you previously, when we apply for your residence visa and you get a job search visa, you have to find a job. And in our experience, we've come across clients who've got this visa, but then again are struggling to find a job. So be very realistic in there. With your experience, if you're getting a job in New Zealand, definitely there is a very straight path towards residence. If you're not getting a job, if you're struggling to find a job, then have a discussion with us and we can then offer you alternate path where you could be in the country with open work rights, and then it becomes a bit easier for you to then find a job and then move on to the residence visa.
Moving on to the next question. I have 7.5 years of experience in software engineering field. I also completed masters in CSE. Is it possible to apply residency program or skills migration? Currently, I'm working and living in Bangladesh.
Yeah, so we've kind of repeated it. A similar answer would probably go here. You would need a job offer a lot. Qualification is one bit, but getting a skilled employment is another. So I would suggest try finding a job. If you can, immediately contact us. If you're unable to find a job and you need a pathway, do contact us, and we could then suggest an alternate path if you're interested in adding on to your skill set.
Moving on to the next question. What is the best way to get a job offer and search for a job in New Zealand? Will you provide any assistance? I'm an electrical engineer with 9 years of experience.
So I would suggest apply for the jobs on various job portals. So we are an immigration advisory company, so we do give immigration advice. We are not a recruitment agency, so we would not assist you in finding a job, but if you find a job, we can then assist you in applying for a visa, assess your situation, let you know what the options are, but you would have to find the job on your own. And if you're not able to, then if you contact us, being an immigration advisor, we can then sit with you and suggest you alternate paths if your ultimate goal is to get a residence here in New Zealand.
The next question says, I have a diploma in civil engineering, NZQF level 6, but I'm currently working as a construction materials technician with 1 year of experience. Is it possible that I can apply under civil engineering technician?
So to me, it seems that you are working here in New Zealand. So I would suggest do share with us your details of your qualifications and details of your job description. We could then be able to advise you on the option. So we would need a bit more of the information before we could let you know. So like I previously said, the job title doesn't really matter, the job duties do. So we would need to see what is the exact job that you do or your responsibilities, and then can advise.
Vandana, we've come to the end of the question.
I think we are almost reached our time and have to finish, but I would just add on here that if you need specific information, do click on the link so we could give you assess your situation and then advise you. And if you are an engineer, definitely a lot of options here in New Zealand for you, for your family, for short term, for long term. And in New Zealand, we would really like to welcome you because we need those skill sets, and we would be happy to provide you options. And if you're interested, do send in your information in the link there. So thank you so much. Over to you, Tanua, and then we can close.
Thanks, Vandana. Just not a lot to add over here. I just hope everybody found it fairly informative. Just to reiterate that the engineering occupation is in demand in New Zealand, and there are a lot of options work-wise that is available for qualified engineers in New Zealand as well. So if direct residence is not a pathway that you can go on right away, the study to residence option is actually something which is fairly successful as well, because in doing so, you not only tend to gain a New Zealand qualification, you also therefore become far more employable in New Zealand as compared to if you have an offshore qualification that will require registration and may not be tailored to how the situation or how work sort of operates in New Zealand. So do not completely negate this study pathway. New Zealand does have a lot of good engineering courses as well, and it is fairly competitive as far as costs are concerned. And people who tend to do a New Zealand qualification are also gain an edge with the New Zealand based employers. So if New Zealand is your destination of migration for you and your family, then keep an open mind to all the various pathways that are available. So yeah, that's it from me. Thank you.
And I can see we also have few questions from people who've asked about the construction sector and the EC sector. So just wanted to let you know we would have subsequent sessions on those, and that is the reason we've not taken those questions here today. Thank you so much for joining us today, and then we really hope this session was informative. Look forward to assisting you. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye.
Bye.